What's going on out there now, boys?
Well, we're very happy to be joined by a gentleman who's going to be teeing up for real here on Friday, and Blaine McCallister has been kind enough to join us out here in the veranda, I guess, of Glen Oaks Country Club. He's a little upset about this crappy weather, but other than that, I think he's ready to go.
No, I'm ready to go. It's right. This is what a beautiful day this has been. Wonderful Pro-Am day. Had a great group. Didn't get hurt. Nobody hit me, so that's a good day. In Pro-Ams, you just don't want to get hit.
That's right.
You kind of dodge these guys, so you got to make sure you always stand behind them, never stand in front of them.
There's us two out here, and there's two guys back in the studio. And the reason he's back in the studio is he could even hit you without playing, and that's why he's back there.
No way.
He's not good.
Okay, well, I avoid him on the team.
Thank you very much, TD. I appreciate that.
You bet. Blaine, obviously... a lot of people, at least here in Iowa, we're very proud of this event, and we, the support is there. And from a player's perspective, how is this event compared to the other ones on tour, and just from a player's perspective?
Well, the thing that really sets this golf course, or this tournament, in my opinion, that separates it from the other tournaments on our tour, the golf course is wonderful. They have such a great venue to play here. The condition is phenomenal. The crowds are great, and players enjoy that kind of atmosphere. That a great golf course is what's going to get players to come. Then you throw in the hospitality that they put on here, that Jamie, Ott, and the entire principal people have put on in front of us. Players are going to come every single time, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. And then you get weather like this. I mean, my goodness, how can you not enjoy weather like this? I mean, I've been down in Texas for the last 3 months. We haven't seen rain since September of last year. So, I mean, this is just absolutely gorgeous weather, and for a great golf course, I mean, everybody's looking forward to good competition.
Sure it's not the milkshakes?
Well, that's a secret. How do you hear about that?
We just hear these rumors, but...
Well, everybody that walks by here has one that they're walking out.
961 of them were made last year. That broke the record. And right now they've got it on the sheet that they're going to break that this year.
Wow.
Well, Blaine, last year you had a very fine showing here at Glen Oaks with rounds of 70, 69, 69. You were tied for 24th. Obviously, you feel pretty good about the golf course. How does the game feel, and how has your game been rounding out coming into this championship?
Well, the unfortunate circumstance, I've had a lot of family issues this year, and I haven't played for about 4 months. I lost my father here a month ago, and I've got a brother that's battling cancer. So I've been spending most of my time with my family. I've always said that, there's your health and your family are the most important things in the world, in life. Golf, I'm going to have golf down the road and hopefully get to have it the rest of my life. So I've been spending my time with my family, and I was fortunate enough to spend the last 3 months with my father before he passed, and it was a great time in my life. I was very fortunate. And I think back to what my dad did for me to give me the opportunity to play the game of golf, and how he backed me. I mean, the man didn't play the game. He never played the game of golf, but yet he knew what it took to play the game.
Well, that's one of the things. We highlight a lot of junior golf, a lot of amateur golf, and we've talked a lot with some of the other Champions Tour players about how they got their start in the game. I followed your career for quite a while. I mean, I remembered watching you at the University of Houston. I always dreamed of being that good to play at the University of Houston. But you talked about your dad didn't play golf. How did you come around to the game of golf?
I had friends. I had buddies that played. I didn't start till I was 14, and I played baseball. And I was really hooked on baseball. And I had a couple of buddies that were in high school with me. They were really good friends, and they played golf. And one night I was warming up for a late game, and the baseball stadium happened to be right next to the golf course. And I saw them out there playing, so I just climbed over the fence and went over there, and they said, well, hit one. So I gripped it just like I was holding onto a baseball bat with 10 fingers, and I hit this ball, and it took off, and I thought, my goodness, this is unbelievable. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't get it airborne the next 200 shots, I promise you, because I went back and played the next day. But I never got it airborne the next 200-yard shots, but I was hooked. I was hooked on the game. I just thought something was fascinating about this ball sitting on a tee, perfectly still, and how hard it was to hit.
Hey, TD, will you hold Blaine through the break? Because we're going to take our hard break. We'll come back and continue our conversation.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay,
that'd be great.
Sounds good, Mike.
Okay, we'll continue our conversation with Blaine McCallister out there with Tim Darrah and, of course, Judd Gibb, positioned at the Principal Charity Classic when we return on the T on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio Television Network. Now let's go back out to the Principal Charity Classic. Blaine McCallister's with Tim Darrah and Judd Gibb, and tell him I appreciate him holding through the break there, TD.
Absolutely, and we do appreciate Blaine holding through the break, and we had some great conversation, of course, during the break with Blaine, and of course, former University of Houston Cougar, PGA Tour veteran, and now Champions Tour player Blaine McCallister. And Blaine, if you don't mind, we'd kind of maybe like to revisit that story about who were some of the guys that were on your team at the University of Houston when you played.
Well, we had one guy by the name of Fred Couples. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him. I mean,
he was your roommate, right?
He was my roommate, and the other roommate I had was Jim Nance from CBS Sports.
Holy moly!
Together. We had a guy by the name of Ray Barr, who was a three-time first-team All-American from Brownsville, Texas, and John Horn out of Plainview, Texas, who was a former quarterback who came down and ended up playing golf. And we were all five, if you can believe this, all five of the starters on the University of Houston team when I was there were on tour at one time.
Wow. Well, and there's been so many great players from the University of Houston. Yourself, Fred Couples, we've talked about that. Fuzzy Zeller, who we've had on this show. Steve Elkington, another one.
Billy Ray Brown. Bruce Litsky.
Yeah.
Bill Rogers. John Mahaffey. I mean, the list could go just endless.
On and on. And, you know, a lot of...
And as you mentioned, even Nick Faldo had a...
Nick Faldo was there for a while. Fuzzy was there for a while. I mean, it's... You know, the coach was a unique guy. He basically wasn't a golf teacher, but he was a golf motivator. What I call, he was a guy that would get you out there to want to play. I mean, he made you want to play for the University of Houston. And at that time, when I was going to school there, that was where the premier school was as far as golf is concerned. I mean, they played the best schedule. They had the most wonderful golf course. We had over 40 different golf courses we could play. So, I mean, as a kid, that's where you dreamed to go play, and I was fortunate enough to get to go there.
Well, Blaine, let's talk about your career on the PGA Tour and now the Champions Tour. I mean, it's extremely difficult to get onto the PGA Tour, much less play a long time on it. What do you attribute your longevity on the PGA Tour to?
Well, I think as time went on, I'd have to say my experience it played a big part of it. I mean, there wasn't anything that I hadn't seen, is what I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. So as time went on, you weren't going to get too frustrated or get too flustered over something that might be happening out there. And I think, if you recall, in my opinion, when the days that we played, there wasn't much money. I mean, I didn't get to really play for this large amount of money that they play for now. I mean, I think if you take my 5 wins, they don't make $600,000 in total prize money. But the competition was just as good, and the play was just as good. It's just that when you were really into winning, you wanted to win. The reward for winning was the Tournament of Champions, the Masters. You know, now you see these guys, they finish 10th place, they make $350,000 for finishing 10th. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a lot of motivation in that fact that when we were playing, winning was that much better to the person or to the individual. But I just felt like that's what you were, that's why you were out there. It wasn't to finish top 10 every week. It wasn't out there to finish top 20. It was out there to win. And I think that, to me, is a big difference between now and then. But as far as the competition concerned, I think they're better now than when we're playing on these champions. Some of these guys are better now than they were on the regular tour. The competition is incredible from top to bottom. And you look at the field that you have here this week, I mean, it's like a who's who.
A who's who in this field. The other who's who was on Tuesday out at TCI. Looking at the field out there, I mean, every year that qualifier,
exactly.
It's bigger and bigger names, just guys that trying to get into the event.
You got as many as 10, 15 guys over there with over 40 victories combined. You combine them all, and they've won 40 victories. That's incredible. I mean, that's a heck of a statistic. And that shows you how tough it is to play out here.
Well, absolutely. But the good thing for people that host the event, it's a great product to sell. I mean,
I still say we're the best, hottest commodity there is in the business world. You get 3 pro-ams. The players attend every one of the parties. It's more hands-on. It's more of a business aspect. If you want customer golf, the Champions Tour is where you need to come, because we're going to put it in front of a bunch of players with names who are going to sit there and visit and talk all day long, and then you're going to have a heck of a good time.
You know, and we talked to Jamie before you came on, and he mentioned this too, is that the difference, he was running a nationwide event in Omaha prior to coming to here.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference he mentioned was the fact that, you know, you guys get it. You know, you get the pro-am deal. You get, you know, you get it. I mean, it's you're mature people,
and the reason we get it is because in the beginning when I was playing, and I came on tour in 1982, 80% of the purse came from the pro-ams, from the money that we had in the pro-ams. So that's where our purses came from. So for us to go play in the pro-am, it was basically to say thank you, because that's what they're putting up the money. And now it's a little bit different. You know, the money has gotten so big with the television rights and so forth. So, I mean, it's a whole different atmosphere. But we understand what the guy that puts that $5-8 grand up to come play on Wednesday or Thursday with us, what it means. And if we can't take the time out to enjoy it and have fun, then as a professional, I'd be disappointed. I just think, as a group, we're very proud of that. As a group of professionals, we understand what it's about, and you know that's very humbling, in my opinion.
You know, and with this event coming up here, and you're kind of getting back into it after losing your dad and everything, and but you still have those juices flowing when you get out there for real, don't you? And you got the crowd out there, and maybe you make that first putt. You still got that competitive juice, don't you?
All you got to do is think about old times, and you look at the list of players here and how many times you played against them. If you can't get motivated to get out and want to play, then something's not right about you. But yeah, I'm very motivated. I'm actually getting a little nervous because I'm excited. I'm more excited than I am nervous about actually getting to play again. It's been 4 months, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we want to wish you the best of luck, and if the weather continues, probably going to have to shoot some pretty low scores to get it done here, as the conditions seem to be perfect, huh?
Well, the golf course is superb. The greens are absolutely perfect. The fairways are getting dried out. The wind the last couple of days has really helped. If we can avoid the rain here the next couple of days, I think you're going to see some low scoring. I do.
One more quick thing before we let you go, is because, as Judd mentioned, the former Iowa State golf coach is on the other end of the line here, too. And I'd just like you to kind of go over one more time as to when you were at the University of Houston, what it took to just be able to be one of the top 5 to play in your events there.
Well, Coach Williams was a unique individual. He was a very great recruiter. He wanted you to come to the University of Houston, and he wanted you to feel like this is where you belonged. But the one thing I can tell you about the University of Houston, there was 20 to 25 guys, just like myself, that could really, really play. So Coach's way of getting to find the best 5 was what he'd call the qualifying. You qualified to qualify, it basically is what he meant by it. He'd send all 25 of us out to the golf courses. The low 5 after 3 rounds played that week in the event. Now, those 5 didn't have a secure seat. If they didn't perform well at that next tournament, or at that tournament, they were thrown back into the pool, and here we go again. So you're talking about 25 guys that, like this list on you have in front of you, as far as players in this tournament playing for their to get to play.
And after the first 5 guys got picked, and the other guys kept playing to move up their seeding for the other.
Exactly. We had to keep playing just to see if you could maintain your position in the qualifier. So if you didn't qualify in the next qualifying to maintain your position, you were basically back as far as the back end of the bus. So it was a heated competition. It wasn't like you were really close to anybody because you were trying to beat the guy, but yet you were a team. But the one thing that Coach Williams always preached to us, he didn't want to go to the Kentucky Derby with 1 horse. He wanted to take 5 horses to the Kentucky Derby and have them finish in the top 10.
Well, he usually did.
But that was the problem. He took 5, and he was leaving 5 great horses at home too.
Exactly. That's for sure. Well, Blaine McCallister, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And good luck this week.
Well,
and,
thank
it's
you.
great
I
to have you
appreciate
back
it,
on
guys.
tour, and our condolences about your father.
Well, I appreciate it. It's nice to be back out, and I'm glad I was able to join you.
All right, thanks. Back to you, Mike.
Well, no, you have to listen for a minute, because you know what? I felt pretty comfortable about sending Judd Gibb, IPGA professional, polished, college graduate out there to represent on the tee this evening. I never have any issue with UTD. I figured I better keep myself right here in the studio. And then in the midst of that conversation with Blaine McCallister, did you look this word up yet, Horty, in the dictionary?
We still haven't found longevity.
Longevity.
You know what?
Listen, Dodger.
I'm sitting here on a veranda. There's nothing to drink. No little.
You've had 5 Drambuis. You're lucky to be able to stay and speak.
Longevity. I'm trying to figure out. I suppose.
Hey, if Shaquille O'Neal can make up words, I can too.
All right, Dodger. The tandem of Dodgers out there. That's interesting. All right, we're going to take a break, come back, and we'll let Judd Gibb do his International Man of Mystery with if he can speak accurately, with one of the players out there, one of the foreign players. We'll be back on the tee on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio and Television Network.
Golf is such a mental